Hello, Mike Rehling here. Been a long time, but I've been tied up with a bunch of personal things. But I wanted to get to something that is near and dear to my heart. And this is a book, Haibun, A Writer's Guide, and by three of my favorite people, Roberta Beery, Lou Watts, and Rich Yeomans. And this one is really, I'm a bit of a nutcase when it comes to Haibun. I love it. And I think it's one of the it's in American haiku. It's one of those things that's actually sort of a cornerstone. I think it holds a lot of other things together, but you could make the same case with linked verse, haiku and senru, hoku, starting verses in renku. But this one really does it for me. The key to whenever somebody tries to explain something to you, particularly in poetry, and particularly, and even more so in the whole haikai genre, which includes haiga, haibun, haiku, the whole shebang. This tends to get missed. Uh, the feeling is, I think, for some people that it's too complex or it's too much, or I'm so used to my little 3-line haiku or senru that I, I don't understand this thing. Guess what? Get this book, you will understand it. And here's the way they approached it. And I think it's important that you've got three practitioners of the craft. These are people who've been published many, 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 many times. They've also all editors. So they have read a lot of other people's haibun. One of the things, even if you're a practiced person who loves reading journals and both online and in print, like me, and you're a nutcase like me, you still need to read. You need to pay attention, even if you're not going to do something. If you say, I haven't, it's not my thing. You know what? You need this because you'll understand what you're reading when you read Haibun. You can appreciate it greater. And you'll see nuances that you can carry over into your other work, into haiku or linked verse or anything else. It's really a fascinating thing. And if you're not familiar, it's real simple. Uh, like everything in poetry, simple. It's a title. There's prose, which I consider a prose poem, and the entirety of it is a prose poem of Haibun, and a haiku or a senru. And I think that in my mind, anyway, I learned a great deal. I learned to really appreciate what to do with Haibun and how to appreciate it, and not just to appreciate it in reading it, but to appreciate it in creating it. From Roberta Beery. Lou Watts, by the way, is phenomenal, and he is wildly creative. So is Rich. Uh, but I suspect that if you tell Roberta Beery that it can't be done that way, she'll do it. She'll succeed. That's the way it is. And all of them have the same general approach, which is that they take creativity to a high level. And because you've got more pieces, doesn't make it more complex or easier. It just makes it an entirely different format. And the way they've approached this book, they've approached it as three people who write Haibun, they create the work, they've evaluated the work of others and publish it, and now they're capping their resumes in Haibun by writing this book. And a lot of it, people look at it and they say, well, I thought, where's the formula? In the West, we like formulas. We like nice, stable things. And unfortunately, that doesn't fit in haikai. And the writers of this book have made that brilliantly clear. The other thing is that the more you read something, the more you get used to it, the more you settle into it, and you'll find a niche. Each one of these editors and each one of these poets, these three people who have taken their time to tell you about Haibun, each of them are different. But the formula is the same. That you have to be creative, that you have to be thoughtful, that you have to be poetic. Your title is a part of the poem. Anyone in free verse knows that. If the prose portion, in my mind, that's a prose poem. And that's its own world. And then there's the haiku of the center. Without it, you don't have a Haibun. You can't say, if you want to leave out a title, I'll publish them. I did. Well, I used to when I was an editor. Right now, I'm a retired editor. Now, I'll publish them if you don't want to put a title on. Okay. I would tell you you're missing something, but hey, I'll publish them. But you can't, the one thing you can't miss, and they make it very clear, you can't miss the haiku, because that's the purpose of this. Everything is about adding dimensions to the poem. In a haiku by itself, you leave the reader totally on their own. And because the poem is short and succinct, everybody goes to a different place. Everybody, every reader. And some will like it, some will not like it, some will think it hits too close to home, some people will, who cares? But the haiku is what it's all about. And in every one of the parts of the genre, haikai genre, there's got to be a poem, a haiku. And I'll tell you, they've done a nice thing here. The other thing is, it's great examples. Okay, they have given examples of their own work that they've published in other people, and a brief commentary on why they did it, what they thought was unique. And all of these, it's too much. I can't show you this. This is one of those, normally when I'm doing haiku books and things, I'm going to read it to you, but I'm not going to bother today. That's not the point of this. I want to tell you that as somebody who really, really enjoys and has been writing Haibun for more than 2 decades, well, this book will teach me things. It taught me things. I love it. And I love what the creativity to which they've approached it. And the fact that they've approached the fact that as editors and as writers, they all do it differently. I mean, that's what we enjoy about poetry, is that we're sharing a bit of ourselves. And I can't share myself if I'm writing like Roberta Beery. And I am not Roberta. And she's not me. She probably thanks herself every day that she wasn't born me. And I'm not Lou Watts, not at all. I love Watts, a good guy. But I'm not him. Rich Yeomans, not him. I can't live his life. These things, in Haibun, we have the opportunity to combine these things. And part of the prose poem section, where you're using the prose in a Haibun, it can be written any which way but loose. And these editors and practitioners of the form have made it very clear that that's the way you should approach it. Find the thing that works for you, that communicates the message for you. And without getting into a bunch of detail, the title, the poem, the prose in Haibun, every one of them can be written in a different style. One of Roberta Beery's that I liked, it was won some sort of an award or something in 2005 or something, and I was just starting to really get into Haibun and on Haiku Hut with Jeffrey Woodward and Ray Rasmussen. I saw that and I realized she wrote a beautiful Haibun about her husband and their relationship. And but what did she do? She used uppercase, lowercase, and spaces. No punctuation. And by the way, the uppercase wasn't to put the first letter of each sentence in capitals. It was whole sentences in all caps, followed by, and no punctuation, not a period. God help us, no semicolon. I hate semicolons. And no punctuation whatsoever. And it just banged it out of the park. Lou Watts does crazy things, totally crazy. And I say that in admiration. Me being crazy too. I just haven't reached his level with Haibun. I mean, he can put words all over the page. It can almost be a Marlene Mountainish kind of a thing. He uses free verse. I mean, just a lot of things there. A lot of things there. And when I write Haibun, it all comes from me. It's a real experience. I don't do fictional Haibun. Okay. I just don't. Nothing wrong with it, because about, I don't know, 15 years ago, 12, 15 years ago, Penny Harder did a presentation at a HNA meeting. And she talked about fictionalized prose and situations in Haibun, which I really loved that concept. And I think it's fantastic. And I know people that write it, including Roberta Beery, Lou Watts, and Rich Humans. I don't, but boy, oh boy, if you are a person doing flash fiction, you want to really spice it up, learn a little bit about haiku and Haibun, and you can have something really unique. And there's no reason why you can't try and do new things. One of my favorite quotes, I have a 50-year practice of Zen and Hindu meditation, and I can't say enough about it. But there is what this quote does not come from anything spiritual. Don't follow leaders. Watch your parking meters. Bob Dylan, Subterranean Homesick Blues. God, I love that song. Don't follow leaders. Don't get stuck in a rut where you say, well, Roberta Beery said you could only do it this way. By the way, I've never heard Roberta Beery say that. But don't say so-and-so, or Mike Rehling didn't like this and that, so I don't do that anymore. What do you listen to me for? Okay. And don't get stuck in a rut. Don't stay too long in one spot. Watch your parking meters. Get out of there. If you find yourself doing it all one way all the time, spice it up and have some fun. That's what these folks are trying to tell you in so many words. And this is an excellent book. This isn't good. It's excellent. And I think that probably you will learn a great deal about three very good editors. If you are already a practitioner of Haibun, you got three editors that you'll be shooting your stuff off to someday. Although I don't do it anymore myself. The if you're going to be sending stuff in, why not get three different people's opinions? Take a look at it and get an idea, and then look at what they publish. That's the other thing. They did that. They picked poems that they had written that they like, poems that they had published that they liked, and they've got the 3 R's, which I just given you in short term: writing, reading, writing, and risk taking. You got to read good poetry and good Haibun in order to understand it and do it yourself. Because if you're not getting any joy out of somebody else's, why bother to duplicate it? And you need to write. You need to sit down and write. I'm a huge person. People are, I'm scared. I just don't feel creative today. Blah, 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 blah. Excuses, whining. Don't do it. I tell people they call themselves poets and they haven't written a poem in 6 months. Well, you're not a poet. You retired from poetry. And I don't know what you're doing now, but you're not a poet. Don't call yourself a poet. Every single day, write something. It's easy. It really is. I didn't say write prize-winning poems or be fantastic every time you pick up a pen or type. Me, I never pick up a pen. I type on a keyboard. You have to write. You have to try. You have to put things down. Failure. You know why? If you know anything about poets and writers, authors, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, whatever it is, when they die, they usually leave a note someplace that says, "Take all my notes and unfinished novels and burn them." Sometimes they go out and burn them themselves in their last days. They make damn sure none of that junk that never got finished and isn't indicative of their best work ever makes it into the light of day. Bill Higginson once told me, he said, he was a tough grader, by the way. I was a student and the best thing I ever got out of him was not bad. Not bad was excellent as far as I was concerned from Bill. But he told me, he said, write as much as you can, but just know what to let out of the barn and whatnot. When it's not done, don't do it. If you're not satisfied with it, don't try it out on a poor editor. You're wasting their time and yours. And I'll tell you this, also in the back here, they've got a ton of things that you can go and find additional things about Haibun. I'm going to put some links in here to the bottom of this, both to this book and sort of a companion piece, Haiku, A Poet's Guide, which is my favorite. I love it. I've given away, I don't know how many copies of this. Lee Gerga's book, Haiku, A Poet's Guide, which is a general shot of all of haikai and about as good as anything I've ever seen. One of the other things I worry about when people write how-to books or they start to talk about a particular genre or a corner of it, is that they give you 400 pages in small print to read. Now, they did the right thing. They gave you what you need to encourage you to read more, find out more, do more, and write more. And if you fail at Haibun, join the club. I have more failed Haibun than I have published Haibun, and I have plenty of published Haibun. So the bottom line is they've given you something here, and I can't give it to you in I can't just read you a poem. But I will tell you, because you want to look at the layout, you want to look at the phrasing of it. to me, poetry is very much like jazz. You're making it up as you go along, and you never play it the same twice, ever. Miles Davis said, "What would be the point of playing it the same every time?" Bingo! That's welcome to poetry, folks. And if you're a free verse poet, I said the prose is a poem. And you'll see examples here of what I consider to be free verse poems. And everything is covered in here. I have to say, not only that I happen to like these three people, so that's cool. I hope they like me. But I don't care particularly. I like what they've done here. And Haibun is one of the most beautiful things if you can get into it. If you start reading it and appreciating it, even if you never write it, it'll inspire you to do other things in poetry and in haiku. And that's, I think, the real purpose of this book is to get you to open up and consider something you haven't considered before, or to polish up and try some new approach to something you've been doing in a certain way. By the way, there's another quote of mine. This one is a Zen one. This is I think it's third patriarch of Zen. He said, "Do not seek the truth. Simply cease to cherish opinions." Simply cease to cherish opinion. You know how unsimple it is to stop cherishing an opinion that you've got. We do it in poetry, we do it in politics, we do it in religion, we do it with the judgments of people. It's just difficult because we're all looking for a result that we have predetermined. Well, get away from that, because what you're going to want to do, just when you're doing the reading, writing portion of this, just keep going. Just keep going. You're gonna find that you'll find your work being published pretty soon. It doesn't take long before you figure it out. And anyway, I am going to tell you, I think that I don't know how I lived this long without it. I had to learn everything the hard way. It took me decades to figure out everything in haiku, and I haven't scratched the surface yet. But I think this is a book worthy. Haibun, A Writer's Guide, is worth the money. It's not expensive. Available on Amazon. There'll be a link below. And what I would suggest to you, this comes with the Rehling guarantee. Don't like it? You think I'm lying to you? Think I screwed up? Think I don't know what I'm doing? You send it back to me. Tell me what you paid with your receipt and your postage back, and I'll PayPal you the money. I don't think I'm going to get any back, but if I do, I'll find a good place to send it. Believe me, trust me, I'll get it out there and save it. This is one you want. This is one you don't want to miss. And I'm sorry I can't just sit and read you a poem or give you a chapter, but I hope that I've touched something in you so you want to grab this book. And if you've got a haiku group, buy a couple copies and pass it around. Could that hurt? And I think you'll get hooked on it, just like I've been. But anyway, I do appreciate it. Appreciate you listening. Please take a look. Haibun, A Writer's Guide. And thank you, Roberta, Lou, and Rich. Did a great job.